Well, a few weeks ago, we found out that the 1973 abortion case, Roe v. Wade, which effectively allowed abortion anywhere, anytime in the US, may be overturned, and that the decision-making process would go back to individual states. So liberal states like California, New York would become dangerous ground for the unborn child and the pregnant woman, while Republican-led conservative states would respect all human rights and would protect the most vulnerable, the unborn child. And abortion activists in the Democrat Party, of which President Biden is part of, are enraged that their right to kill the unborn child could be impacted. So, what kind of law do they actually want? You'll be shocked by what they want and whose law it would be similar to. So as soon as the pro-abortion, anti-unborn child activists found out that Roe v. Wade might be overturned, the Democrat Party, which is similar politics to our Labor and Radical Greens, they immediately tried to introduce legislation to undermine the potential upcoming Supreme Court decision. The misleadingly named Women's Health Protection Act. Now, it only received support from 49 Democrats in the Senate, needed 50, and fortunately failed to succeed. How bad was it? Well, it would have given healthcare providers the right to provide abortion services with few limitations or requirements. According to the bill, healthcare providers would have been allowed to perform abortions without, quote, a prohibition on abortion at any point or points in time prior to fetal viability, and without, quote, a requirement that a patient seeking abortion services at any point or points in time prior to fetal viability disclose the patient's reason or reasons for seeking abortion services. Now, look, two pro-abortion female Republican senators voted against it because the proposed law removed protections for religious liberties, provisions that protect healthcare providers who choose not to offer abortion services for moral or religious reasons. And one of those pro-abortion female senators also noted that the bill's overly broad language far exceeds Roe v. Wade by striking down state laws such as those that require certain materials to be given to the patient, that prohibit sex-based abortions, or require parental or guardian notification for minors seeking an abortion. And the only Democratic senator to vote against the measure, he concluded that it is radical legislation that goes beyond Roe. The Washington Post said that the United States is one of fewer than a dozen countries that allow abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy on any grounds. Guess which one of the others is? Yep, New Zealand, up to birth with very few checks and balances. Go to our website, chooselife.org.nz, love them both, and you will see the evidence of just how radical our law is. Although the media and pro-death politicians won't tell you this. Late-term abortion, no explicit ban on born-alive provisions, no fetal pain provisions, no provision to recognise coercion, no parental notification, a watering down of freedom of conscience rights for health practitioners, no ban on sex-selective abortions, gestational time limit for disabilities have been removed. It is a shocker. President Biden and the Democrats want to put into rock-solid legislation a radical abortion law just like New Zealand's. And fortunately, they couldn't. The Republicans got in the way. Sadly, most of our National Party MPs, which is comparable to Republicans, didn't get in the way of our radical law. But finally, let me just show you a couple of amusing clips. One from a pro-abortion group when they fronted up to a government judiciary committee recently. Amy Ehrenbeid is the executive director of an abortion rights group, and she was firstly asked to define what a woman is, which is an important thing when you talk about pregnancy. Now, that is a really tricky question these days, especially for a woman who you think could answer or know the answer to the question.
What do you say a woman is?
I believe that everyone can identify for themselves.
Okay. Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have abortions?
Yes.
Okay, right. But then she was asked whether abortion could be allowed up to and including birth. Now, watch this clip. She doesn't actually answer the question. In fact, She sort of even struggles to agree that killing a 10-year-old is morally wrong. Have a watch.
Point, is it not okay to abort a child? What age of gestation?
I trust all people to determine what they can and can't do with their bodies, full stop.
Okay.
I also believe that human rights, including access to the medical care that they need within their communities, is something that should be afforded everyone.
Great. Okay, so you support late-term abortion?
I support all people and trust
That means
people.
late-term abortion. Do you support partial birth abortion? In other words, the child is half delivered, and then the woman says, my right, I want to take that one out. You support that?
I trust people to make decisions about
Wow.
their body.
Wow. Okay. What about so abortion should be allowed then, by your definition, for any reason, for any purpose, at any stage, right?
I trust people to make decisions about their body, and then when relevant, I think that they need to consult their medical practitioners.
Okay.
And not
If
Congress.
it is, listen, let me just ask you this question. If it is not lawful and morally acceptable to take the life of a 10-year-old child, I assume you agree with that, right? That would be wrong, correct?
I believe that
Okay.
that is
And a
wrong.
2-year-old child, same thing. That would be murder. We would all agree that's wrong. Then what is the principal distinction between the human being that is 2 years old or 9 months old or 1 week old or an hour old than one that is 8 inches further up the birth canal in the utero? What's the difference? Why is it okay in the latter case and not the former cases?
Good question.
I trust people to determine what to do with their own bodies.
Wow.
Full stop.
Wow. Full stop indeed. And that describes right there exactly what this is about. There's a legal issue here, but underneath that is a moral issue. It's about reality. It's about science, the advancement of medical technology. You're talking about unborn children. And your full stop is that you will support the termination of that child at any time. And that is frightening. And that is why this decision should be turned to the popular will of the people, and hopefully they'll protect the sanctity of every single human life and live up to the standards of our Declaration of Independence. So you'll.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? And one more video clip. It's of a Democrat, a pro-abortion Democrat, who threw up the usual kind of statement that pro-abortion groups do. What about rape and incest? Now, remember that in New Zealand, it's about 0.15% of all abortions are in this area, but they throw that out as the reason for a very liberal law. And in this exchange that you're about to see, you'll see a pro-life campaigner give the perfect answer. Have a listen.
This is an illuminating hearing, Mr. Chairman. The Republicans' own witness, the witness they called, is candidly and openly calling for a nationwide ban on all abortions with no exceptions for rape or incest. And if I've got that wrong, I would invite Ms. Foster to correct me. Do I have it wrong, yes or no?
If we added rape and incest exceptions, would you vote for it?
Okay, I reclaim my time, of course. Openly calling for a nationwide ban on all abortions with no exceptions for rape or incest. And if I've got that wrong, I would invite Ms. Foster to correct me. Do I have it wrong, yes or no?
If we added rape and incest exceptions, would you vote for it?
Okay, I reclaim my time, of course.
That is the classic answer, because they can't actually answer it. And if you throw that question back at people who are pro-abortion, they won't answer the question. If you say, okay, well, if we put those hard cases to the side, will you oppose all other abortions? They just can't answer that. But logic doesn't do too well for the pro-abortion side. The logic just doesn't work well for the left. Full stop, as that pro-abortion lady who thinks that men can get pregnant. Full stop. The unborn child means nothing to the radical left. It's no different to a full stop. As I've said before, we need to create a world where we care for both women and their children. Let's work hard to make the grisly practice of abortion, like slavery, unthinkable in a civilized modern society for the sake of the unborn child. Now that would be progressive.